Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for joining me on my, I think it's my fourth podcast, my second live one. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm excited about my guest today. In just a couple minutes, Craig Davis from Ascend Xperience will be joining me. I met Craig at the Mortgage Mastermind Summit in Las Vegas a couple months ago. We shared a dinner, had a good 2-hour conversation. Him and I had very much values alignment, really had some provoking thoughts. Him and I have connected a couple times since then and continued the conversation. And in our last conversation, I said, we should just do this live. Like, we should just continue our conversation live because he certainly is a thought leader in the space. Now, if you don't know Craig, he's been a mortgage executive and leader for 20 years. Most recently, he led the Western division for First American Finance, the retail division of the West Coast. He's gone on now. Once FAM was sold and transitioned to something else, he left to start his own company, his coaching company, where he coaches C-suite executives, mortgage leaders from divisionals to regionals, area managers, and then high producing loan officers. So that's who Craig is. And today, Craig and I are going to talk about leadership, and specifically leadership down to the branch manager role. So with that, Craig, I want to welcome you into the StreamYard studio. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here, man.
Oh, it's great to see. I love that in the background for you. Make shift happen.
Yeah.
It just is so you. So how was my introduction? Did I hit the key points for you?
You did great. You did great. And I also want to say congratulations to you, by the way, for doing the live stream, getting yourself out there, because you do have so much goodness to share and to talk about. And like we had our last conversation, you're a natural in these conversations. So it's a pleasure to be here. I enjoy it. And congratulations, because I know a lot of people watching this, they also want to do this, and it's uncomfortable. And we have to get uncomfortable. We have to make shift happen. I'm just going to do, here's my sticker since the board, went away. Right. And so, anyway, kudos to you, man.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about leadership, and maybe you can give just your basic philosophy around leadership, and you might even touch on your concept of push-pull, and then we'll get into the role of leadership today in the mortgage industry at the branch level. How's that?
I love it, and I love the conversation, and it's a good place to start. And I want to frame it like this too, right? Like leadership is a behavior; it's not a title. And I want everyone to understand that, because it doesn't matter if you're originating or you are in a leadership role, you're in operations. It doesn't matter. Leadership is a behavior, because you have to lead. You have to lead your clients. You have to lead, you have to manage up. Sometimes you have to lead your leader, right? To lead yourself, and so much more. And so understanding the behavior, and like you're mentioning push-pull, right? Well, sometimes I get the question, well, okay, what is the difference between a leader and a manager, for example? And my very stupid, simple, clarification is a leader pulls, right? And how do we pull? We're pulling with vision. We're pulling with the purpose. Here's where we're going. Here's why. Here's what we need to do. We have to pull. That's what a leader does. Now, a manager pushes. Okay, we have to push the system, the process, the initiative, whatever the case is. So a manager maybe is behind pushing. Now, we have to wear both hats. It's just understanding, when am I pulling, when am I pushing? So that's my simple definition.
That's fantastic. And then, I mean, you coach on all sorts of topics. I mean, it's 360 coaching for you, but it seems to me kind of your passion is teaching, coaching, because my sense is you think that is really the key to success of any person, group, or organization. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. And, so much of like my joy, purpose, and passion, right? I mean, and this is what has always made me successful. And I learned early on when I was in sales, and I was a number one originator in sales, when I was in management, and then certainly leadership. I understood early on that if I could help you succeed in what's unique and purposeful to you, well, then that makes me successful. So the more I understood how to help my team or my clients or whatever succeed, then that makes me successful. So that's now when I transition and have translated into now starting my coaching consulting company, that's very much my focus. What is unique to you? What is purposeful to you? What is important to help you be successful in your design? It's not necessarily just my prescription. Now, obviously, I have the background, the technicals, the experience, the intuition, the whatnot to help create the guardrails to help drive your success. But it really does have to be unique to your purpose.
Yeah, that's great. And let's get into, mid-level management or branch manager leadership. And, back in the day when we both, probably when we got started, branches were led by non-producing branch managers. There were professional leaders, business unit managers that were well-trained, and the only compensation they received was by adding value to the people that they led and then delivering, results to the company. Today, you rarely see a non-producing branch manager. Rarely see it, and it's turned into producing branch managers. And unfortunately, in the pandemic years, there was a rush to top producers turning into producing branch managers, sometimes for vanity, sometimes for compensation, but oftentimes not for responsibilities. Like they got the title, they got paid more money, but they didn't necessarily want to lead. Is that what you see? Do you have clients come to you that go, "Hey, Craig, I'm a producing branch manager, but I don't really know how to lead, but I have a heart to." What are you seeing out there? And then what does it mean overall to those units, those business units, and how can we help?
Yeah, no, spot on. And everyone has their own evolution of how they got into maybe the role that they're in, whether producing, non-producing, and there's certainly, factors, between one versus the other. But I agree with you. And because I think fundamentally so many that got into branch management was typically born out of they were good originators. Now they're in management. Now they're growing a team. And all of a sudden, sometimes it even grows bigger than them. And now they find themselves in a position going, oh, crap, I have to lead and manage. And I'm producing or not producing. And I got to balance all the complexities of the business and the company and the compliance and the market and the, and the team and whatnot. And I have clients coming to me going, I realize I need to lead more effectively, but I don't really know how. And that is so powerful. And so what I do with branch managers, it doesn't matter big or small in terms of the volume or the size of the business. And I said business there. We have to stop running a branch and run a business. And so that's what I'm very good at, is helping managers translate into now running an effective business as an effective leader, standing up their verticals, which then I can help coach and drive within each one of those verticals. And what happens is, because they're busy, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, but people aren't getting the results that they used to or want, right now. So that's where I really dive in to help drive those results with that perspective shift. And then all of a sudden, now I got clarity. Now I know exactly what to do within each one of these verticals, and we get very tactical within those. Now I'm running a business. Now I'm leading. Now I'm managing effectively. And whether I'm producing or non-producing, doesn't matter. It's all part of, that vertical, so to speak. So
I think I've heard you referred to as a fractional chief revenue officer for your clients. So yeah, it certainly resonates in what you're saying. But let's delve into, one of the challenges with producing branch managers is the job pays less than going out and getting another whale or another account. And so how do you walk a leader through, taking the yoke or responsibility of leadership, or talking them out of having that position? Or what's your stance? What's your belief?
Well, I think, agreed, right? Because we're going to tend to do the activities that incentivizes us either the most or the easiest, or what I understand and how it incentivizes me. And I say that because there's obviously a tremendous amount of pressure on branches. You have to grow. You have to recruit, right? And the branch manager says, okay, how? Okay, the company, we're going to recruit with you. We have all these recruiters. But then that doesn't really happen. And I'm not putting anybody down. Everyone's great, but recruiters are not always filling up branches. So there's frustration. They want to recruit. They don't know how. because they know their pathway to, I want to earn more income at a branch level is I have to grow, and I have to grow either organically with my existing originators or I got to add more originators. That creates a lot of confusion. And their incentive for growth is long-term, not short-term. So then it becomes, okay, well, forget that. I just need to produce more. So then they get really stuck in producing. Okay, but then their other loan officers need their leadership and management as well. So it creates this sort of like, conflict of interest in some respects as well. So again, it comes back down to, we need to have clarity in how we approach and lead successfully within each one. And I'm going to call them verticals. Growth and recruiting is a vertical. Your production is a vertical. Leading and managing your team is a vertical. Marketing might be a vertical. Financial strength and profitability is absolutely a vertical, and so much more. And so that clarity, knowing how to do that, then we can create scalability, agility across those verticals. And that's where leadership comes in, is being able to go into each one of those and have agile leadership across those. So that's probably a mouthful, but I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, the thing that resonated with me is leaders today, especially at the branch level, they have a lot of anxiety because they're tasked with a ton of things which they don't have the capacity to do, which then makes them super anxious about not getting everything done. Yeah. And the key, and I think this is what you do with your coaching, the key is to help them define, as you would say, what their leadership construct is for the teams that they lead, right? And then, so one, they have peace. I'm no longer worried about the things I'm not doing because that's part of my design. Yeah. And then also you help lead them to, how do you fill the gaps for the things that you don't want to do? Like, your people still have the need, whether you want to do it or not. Yeah. You have to solve, supporting them, but you don't necessarily have to do it. Would you kind of agree with those comments?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a great book, and I'm sure you guys have read it, right? Who, Not How, because you don't have to do all the hows. You don't have to do all of this, especially as I was talking about these verticals, not to belabor that, because it can sound overwhelming. It's not. It's actually the opposite. It's to help generate the clarity. And going to your point, and I was working with a client the other day, and they want to do more training and development with the office, but they're overwhelmed thinking they have to do it all. You don't. You have originators or operations people or people within your branch, or certainly the organization, but let's just talk about within the branch, who might be passionate about sharing how they have succeeded using this marketing strategy, or overcoming this objection with realtors, or knowing how to approach the NAR settlement, or whatever the case is. So why not empower them to be able to lead that training? Because they might want to do that. When there was a little bit of concern of, but I don't want to ask them to do that, or what have you. Or maybe I'm just holding on too tight with a little too much control. It's not about that. Leadership is not about doing everything. In fact, leadership might be more around, you're in charge of the first 20%, but now we've got to solve for the rest of that 80%, So there's different ways. And all of a sudden, he empowered one of his originators who has an amazing marketing means about how they're driving business right now, and the way they're, approaching, their referral partners. And now they're teaching a class with their other originators on it. And this person is getting value. They're getting value from sharing that with the team. And then guess what happens? Then we're taking pictures and we're promoting on social media, and look at this. So now from a recruiting standpoint, look at how we're empowering our originators to be leaders. Look at how we're helping our team do this. And now this realtor group saw this originator teaching this. Now guess what's happening? That realtor group wants that originator to come to their office and teach this strategy. So again, think about this ripple effect. And that all began with a coaching conversation, creating clarity and a path forward that we couldn't otherwise see.
Yeah. And as I'm listening to you and I think about your role today in the industry and your coaching role, it blends to my mind, mortgage companies, due to the economics, have been forced to make drastic cuts, understandably and rightfully, by the way. And one of the areas they've cut is in management. Some companies have completely gotten rid of, they've gotten rid of area managers. Some have gotten rid of regional managers. I mean, they've really reduced their leadership.
Yeah.
And my question, and I'm gonna bring it back to you in a second. My question is, then who then pours into your individual employee, right? Who trains your branch managers today if you don't have sales leaders? Are you telling me the owner of the company is going to train every one of their branch managers, going to coach and mentor every one of their branch managers? And if the branch manager isn't providing leadership in the branch, is the CEO of the company going to take responsibility for every employee? Because a healthy employee relationship with their company is when a company cares about that employee, pours into that employee, commits that employee's career goals, right? And actually cares. And if you don't have a local leader doing that and you remove middle leaders, who the heck is doing that, right? And that's why I think people like you have a bigger and bigger role. As companies remove support for local leaders, they have no choice but to go, if I want to get better, I need somebody to help me. And that's why they seek out you. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll tell someone like, look, I'm the most inexpensive leader you have, right? Because I can dive in and coach specific to the needs, but you're not hiring me full time. You're not carrying all the weight and the full time and the wages and the, and all the things, right? And so, and going back to, okay, so we still have to solve for support, leadership, training, development, compliance, oversight, all the things. Yet, well, shoot, we are living with margin compression. This business is really hard. It's very technical. And now we're doing it with less revenue per loan and more people fighting over those fewer loans. Obviously, we have major conflict. And so we have to do cost reductions. And the obvious is we have to reduce labor. Well, who do we start looking at? Well, who's not producing? And so all of a sudden middle management gets, and look, I don't think there's a one size shoe fits all answer to this. This is not about, okay, no more regionals or no more areas or no more divisionals or no more non-producing, branch managers. That's not the case. Like, we need the humans. Like, we need the good people doing the good work. So what I would advise is, let's not look at the job title. Let's look at the person. And what is the skill set? What is the purpose and the passion? What is the value this person can bring and deliver? Forget job title. Forget this is how we've always done it. We are in an era shift in this industry, and I do not believe it is going away. And that era shift, like you and I have talked about, it's not rates, it's not AI, it's not tech, it's none of that. The era shift is margin compression. It's less revenue per loan. And it's not going away because the consumer is demanding it, or the consumer is demanding it in various ways. But B, the reason why is because it's competition's response to a lower revenue environment and their ability to succeed within it. So between the competition and consumers, that's going to keep a less revenue per loan environment. So my point being there, to tie this back, is that companies have to understand how to scale, how to leverage, I'm going to say essential humans, how to leverage their best people, and how to integrate key technologies so you can create scalability, economies of scale, reduce minutia, and again, leveraging their best and their brightest. So regardless of the job title, like we were just talking about, how can we do it by leveraging our best people so we can still provide everything? To your point, I have to have oversight. I have to have leadership. I have to have support, but can I make it elastic?
Yeah. And you really, you brought a lot there. So I'm going to unpack a couple things.
Subject.
First, I largely agree with you. The shift, to me, the major shift is the shift to consumer behavior. That's what's changing everything. Where consumers want more for less. They're more knowledgeable, more educated. They have this digital application that's exceptionally portable, and everybody has their information. And that is causing massive competition, and is causing that margin compression. And I would argue that that's going to get far worse before it gets better. And not only that, it used to be we competed for the lead, and then once we acquired the lead, we were pretty safe getting the loan closed. Well, in the last year, we not only we get the lead, but we still have to compete to keep the lead through close. But the future will be, we're still going to have to keep that client after close, because the way the data is, I know what you close your clients at. And if you close them at a high rate, I can market to them the day after close and refinance them and cost you an EPO. That the battle for the client gets longer and longer and longer, harder and harder and harder. And what that means is at some point, we're going to have one monolithic rate. Everybody's going to have the same rate. It's just going to be, how do we differentiate? How do we add more value under that same rate?
Yeah. That's a powerful statement, that monolithic rate. Yeah.
It's definitely where we're going, I think. But I have so much to unpack from what you said, and I want to go to the thing, building off of what you said. And I want you to talk about what you call the street level leader, or as your point, which you were just making, is it's a human thing, not a title thing. And I know you believe that everybody's a leader. How can we leverage that in our world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what, if you can leverage that, then you can have exponential results and super happy, employees. So give us your comments on that.
Yeah, and again, and I'm using the word leader here a little bit broad as well, because again, I'm not, what I'm trying to make the impact here is the mindset of a leader, right? And a street level leader. My point being there, again, like I said earlier, leadership is a behavior, not a title. And I do believe that everybody is a leader because they do have to lead throughout their day and their lives and whatnot. And so I say that to try to emphasize, like, the best originators I see in this marketplace, who, by the way, are widening the gap between those who are taking market share and everybody else, because that gap is widening. The best originators who do not have a leadership title, they act as leaders. They are leading their referral partners. They are helping control the conversation. They are providing value to their agents, especially in light of the NAR settlement and buyer's agents, and providing value directly with the consumer and creating a partnership. They are helping enhance business. They are leading the process, their system, the scalability, so they can do more loans at less cost. They are leading by using key technologies. Our mutual friend, Dave Savage, Trust Engine, Mortgage Coach, using data insights, working with MBS Highway, working with other tools out there, CRMs and whatnot. They're using key technologies. So they're leaders in their space, not just amongst their peers, but how they run their business. An operations person, a processor, an LOA. Again, not saying you're the operations manager, but you control that file. You're gathering conditions. You are managing to the originator, to the underwriter, to the operator. Your job is moving that loan from A to, let's just call it, M, to get it into closing, or A to C for closing. That probably sounds better. But my point is, the more we can understand that leadership lens that we look through, that'll orient our behavior. And then it just makes things easier. And so that's where I'm getting at from a street level leader. It's not about the ivory tower. It's not about the title. It's about how we behave.
Yeah. And I would add on to what you said. If you want to 10X your business, 10X your results, 10X the culture in your world, then 10X every person on your team's leadership.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be a leader. Very few people want to be a servant in a way that they have no voice. Now, a lot of people want to be a servant serving other people, but let people live out loud, right? And that's how you get leverage and exponential results. That's what leadership is. From the receptionist to whomever, to the CEO. Yeah. They all need to learn leadership and display leadership if you're going to be just on fire.
Absolutely. And you just said there too. And there's also servant leadership, right? Where, we are servant leaders. And so again, I don't want to, sort of like make the word leader maybe too like kind of wooey up here, right? This is a tactical conversation. And directly to your point, the more leadership training we have with people within the organization. So what we're also doing here is we're empowering, So I'll give you a quick little story, and I'm trying to make this really quick. So at one point in my role or in my career, I ran, I was a regional vice president. This is now Pinnacle Capital Mortgage before Finance America bought us. I was running the entire Bay Area operation, all production, all operations, and I was building up the operations team, underwriters, through closing, operations management, all the stuff. I inherited an existing operation. I thought it was great. until I started digging in and realizing, we got some work to do here. And then I merged 2 operations together from another region. Same thing. I thought it was great, but went, wait. And the biggest difference I made was I got rid of a lot of the noise, a lot of the chaos, a lot of the fingers in the pie, and I empowered my operations people to make decisions. I empowered them to make decisions. And I removed checklists in some respect, which is a little counterintuitive. My point is, I increased the velocity of loan production by 4 business days without having to hire anybody because I reduced the noise. I reduced friction. So the moral of that story there is, going back to your point, for executives and leaders, branch managers, doesn't matter. The more we can help empower decision-making, success, feedback, while providing the training, the support, the coaching, and whatnot, we can actually reduce friction. Because it's not always the big thing we have to change. A lot of times it's lots of little things, right? And if we can reduce friction, we can then increase momentum.
And you just brought up one of the main, it seems, tenements of your coaching: focus on the little things, not the big things. And like, you coach hard to that, right?
Yeah.
Now, we've been talking about leadership because that is really the secret sauce. That's the leverage.
Yeah.
But I would also say that one of the services you provide is you're an optimization coach. So once you can kind of get leverage, then it's time for optimization. Or is it optimization first and then leverage?
Hey, take your pick, right? It's really just about optimizing your behaviors toward success, right? We want to optimize our actions toward results. And so, yeah, and I think along the lines too, like when we're managing our day, just our personal day, right? I think along the lines of, what are your optimization zones, right? And we had this conversation before. Well, you have, right? And so much of our business, and again, I don't care about job titles. We have to balance our proactives and our reactives. And we have to be proactive. We have to drive our business forward. We have to do sales. We have to do prospecting. We have to market. We have to, do the things that moves our business forward. But we also have to have time, space, energy, all the stuff to also deal with the reactives. Okay, well, shoot, I now got to go chase down this condition. I got to deal with the Smith transaction. I've got to go pick up my kids from school. I got to do, that's your to-do list. And so I help sort of separate and at least orient the thinking. So, all right, what are your proactive zones today? And what are you going to do in your proactive zone? Okay, great. You're all in for 45 minutes doing this. Could be prospecting, could be marketing, could be social media. Be proactive about it. Now, move to your reactive zone. Okay, for the next hour, now let's go down the to-do list or whatever that could. Here's your emails and there's your texts and chasing down the Smith transaction. Again, all the things. It just separates thinking. It separates and puts control in your day so you're handling both. And then also, let's not forget, we also need a little bit of oxygen, right? And so what are we doing to get a little oxygen in our day? A little walk, listen to a podcast. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go to the gym. I got my morning routine, life after work. I got to have balance. And by the way, I love this because I get asked this. Well, what does work-life balance mean? This is my take on work-life balance. It's not 50-50. It just means you can't fall off. So we have to have some oxygen in our day to create a little bit of balance, right? And I'm happy to offer to your audience. I have a daily optimization planner. I'll send you the link, and then anyone can download that. And it's a daily optimization planner to identify. Well, one, you start with your happies and your gratefuls because we want to be grounded. We want to be grateful. It's good for the mindset. Then what are my optimization zones? What am I going to do today? What are my to-do lists? And then identifying what do you want to do to get oxygen for yourself. And then this is really important. Track your wins, your little wins. It doesn't have to be the big stuff. I made this call. I had a great open conversation with a realtor. Hell yeah, win. I provided this training. These people showed up, win. I did this video on social media. I got it out there, win. Track your little wins. It's really, really important because your mind is going to orient towards, look at all the progress you've made versus maybe that one thing that didn't happen. I lost that deal, or that realtor didn't call me back, or whatever. That can consume my day was a loss. It's not a loss. There's just one thing. You had 10 things that you did and accomplished. That's progress. That's winning. That's success. That's action oriented. So the daily optimization planner is meant to help guide that in your day. I use it every day. I have it on my Remarkable. I think I was showing you earlier, like for example, I just had that up earlier as I was filling it up, and that helps me manage my day. So
if you send it to me, we will definitely post it in the comment section, as well as whatever contact information you want to send. As I get to know you better and I listen to you, the thing that is really attractive about what you do is you're very approachable and it's easily digestible. I mean, like, it's not overwhelming. It's simple. Look, I'm going to help you clarify your path, your construct, and then I'm going to help you untie any knots that are in your way and give clarity where necessary, give you advice, and then hold you accountable to what you're trying to achieve. And it seems I don't want to say comfortable, but doable. But sometimes I get coaching and it's not doable. It's painful, and it seems like you're able to avoid a lot of that.
I appreciate it. That's a good observation, and that is exactly how I'm trying to approach it, because it's not always about overhauling the entire engine, right? There's a massive amount of information that comes at us constantly, right? And it can be overwhelming. Sometimes it's more around little shifts that create remarkable results.
Yeah, and you talk about habits, right? And stacking habits. That's one of the things that you try to teach. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, hey, I want to do this in my morning routine, but I just never get myself to do it. So right, coming out of Atomic Habits, I love habit stacking. All right, if you want to get a morning routine, stack that new habit on top of an existing habit. Brushing your teeth is a habit in the morning, or at least I hope it is, right? Brushing your teeth is a habit. So a long time ago, I'm like, well, I want to stretch, do push-ups, do all that in the morning. So I stacked stretching and doing push-ups on top of brushing my teeth. And then my reward is a cup of coffee. But I don't get the cup of coffee until I stretch and do push-ups. And by doing that, now, no big deal. It's part of my morning routine. And because I have the reward, and everyone who's read Atomic Habits, this is a page right out of it. And so it just, again, we don't have to make this harder. It's not about telling you what to go do. That doesn't work. It's like planting a tree and watering it to death. That's where so much of leadership and management fails, because I got all the right answers. I keep telling everybody to do it. They're not doing it because they don't want to be told what to do. So instead, we got to reverse engineer that, help you pull out your insight so we can draw that to action. And I help you pull out your insight and create that clarity. Then I can help you move those actions towards results. Now we're planting a seed that's growing roots much stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as Dave Savage would say, we're in the third quarter of our conversation. And I'm going to transition to your upcoming article. But before I do so, let's have a little bit of levity. How's your lawsuit against Instagram going?
I don't have a lawsuit against Instagram. Well, I'm missing that.
Or is it X? What is X?
Oh, you mean this?
Yes.
Yeah. For the record, by the way, I had this before Elon. Right there. I was before Elon turned Twitter into X.
Oh, so, Twitter, not Instagram. Yeah. Twitter. Yeah, you're like,
that, Elon, I'm coming after you.
You're like, what the heck are you talking about, Ron? Like, you lost your marbles. No, I did not lose my marbles. Well, all right. So you have shared with me an article that you've written called Shifting the Mortgage Experience.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic, very well-written article, which you are going to post, I think, on LinkedIn, maybe today. But that you hope to get, one of the industry, papers to pick up, and it's certainly worthy of that. And what I like to do is just kind of not rapid fire, but kind of in succession. I'm going to, highlight some of the key concepts in the article. Some we've already touched on, so we don't have to talk about a lot. And you can just give us your view and what you're talking about. So let's start with the first topic that caught my eye, which was you used the phrase I love called the new normal. And we briefly touched on that, but what else would you say about the new normal?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I do believe the new normal, as I touched on earlier, is margin compression. The new normal is how consumers are approaching the mortgage business and other things. The new normal is, and I'm gonna get your take on this here. The new normal is also the rise of the Gen Z and the minimizing of the boomers, So we have this generation sort of shifting, right? And I didn't write this in the article. I'm going to get your take on this. And audience, I want to get your take on this. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is my hypothesis. I'm an Xer, right? From boomers to Xers and whatnot. We tend to go into something trusting first. If I'm getting a loan from you, Ron, I trust you first. I trust you know what you're doing. You're giving me a competitive rate. Like I want to trust you. That's the thing. I want to trust you. I don't really want to shop. I want to trust you. And then noise of the industry, and certainly right now, lots of noise comes in, rates, all this other stuff. Now I'm starting to lose and erode trust because I've got all this noise coming at me. Gen Z, I think, is the opposite. I think they're coming in not trusting you first. Partly also why they are highly, and obviously they've been born on tech, but they're going through tech. They're getting their information because they don't trust you first. And then all the noise coming in. And then you're earning and building trust because it is still critically important to be a thoughtful mortgage advisor, looking out for their best interests, customer for life, all the stuff. Why it's even more important now to be a mortgage advisor, not a loan officer. And so I think that generation shift is also what's going to help keep this as a new normal, because that's who's coming, And then certainly competition's response and how they're adapting to it and everything else that we were talking about earlier.
I agree with what you're saying, and I would approach it slightly differently. I think over the last 3 decades or so, there's been an erosion of trust because there's been an erosion of truth and integrity. Yeah. And that we've been lied to so often that now, and this is a very jaded view, I apologize, but we've been, the commonality today is somebody trying to mislead us or not tell us the truth or tell us what we see and experience isn't reality. And so we then become untrustful because people aren't trustworthy. And so I don't blame people for being guarded or hesitant of giving us their trust. It's like when a politician says something, I don't trust them. I don't believe them. And
I don't know if that's ever changed because I don't think anybody's
right. But that's just whether it's through social media, it's not real, or what we're being, what products are being sold, what it will do, what it'll provide, like everything. Like you buy a bag of potato chips and it's 75% air, right? That's a lie that then gets us to mistrust. And so today, kids they've been, 3 generations have told them it's not really real. And so they're untrustful, and that's okay. That gives us, if we are great salespeople, that gives us an advantage if we can then deliver trust.
I totally agree. And the younger the generation, they're far removed from the consultative process because they're born into a transactional economy. And the transaction is doing the advising, right? And you could say AI here, but I do not believe AI is replacing good originators, thoughtful advice producers, right? Now, AI can easily replace this mortgage fits you and here's all your criteria, and AI can tell you the things to do. But AI is not replacing the human who's caring for your, from a customer for life strategy, understanding the goals and the dreams, understanding how the family dynamic is working, understanding about the opportunities, understanding how to solve your problems, understanding how to make connection. That's not AI. That's human.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment. Then you gave me a great transition. And the thing is, even with loan officers, let's say, like I want to be your lender for life.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you drop out of the industry 2 years later? Did you live up to your promise?
Yeah.
Or what happens when you never call that borrower again? Right. I mean, so once again, we're also contributing to that integrity gap, right? And there's value in just doing what you say. Like that's valuable. But I'm going to transition because you started talking about AI, and we're certainly, I don't think, going to have a conversation about AI. But in your article, you talk about the widening gap between those that modernize and those that don't. What do you mean by that? What are you talking about?
Well, when I look out into the field, and certainly the clients I work with, the events I go to, when I pay attention to, who's winning and who's not. The people who are winning in market share right now, who originators, they have a sound process and a system that's in alignment with their branch or company or whomever, or their own, it doesn't matter. But they are creating economies of scale with a very good process and a system. They are using key technologies to reach a wider audience and then to go deeper with that audience, right? That could be social media, that's using data insights, with Trust Engine, that's speed to need to lead, so to speak. And they're financial experts. And I'm going to give, Barry and MBS Highway and, compliment with that. They're using the tools and the systems. They're using things like video. So they're adapting and weaving key technology into the DNA of their business. And they're approaching their business, like we said earlier, as leaders. They are taking control to help lead and support their referral partners, create opportunities, do events, do, the social medias, do the support with their agents to help them build business. It becomes, a two-way street. So they're doing the things to run a business versus they're just trying to do loans, which is very transactional. And I think any originator is going to say, well, yeah, I'm relational. Of course, everyone's going to say, I'm relational. You can trust me. I'm not accusing anybody of not being relational or not being trustworthy. But what I'm saying is it's very often that we think relationally, but we act transactionally. So we have to look at, but are you using whatever? Like I look at Mortgage Coach, for example. I tell Dave this all the time. I don't think of Mortgage Coach like a product or a tool. It's a conduit to be that financial expert and provide lifetime value with your clients. It's the conduit to be able to provide that, And so that's why it's woven into my culture, my DNA. So I think those branch managers and company leaders who are supporting that and training towards it are helping ignite it. But here's the challenge. Not everyone's going to do it. And technology is expensive and everybody wants something different. And one person loves it and the other person hates it. And so fundamentally, that's a challenge because so much of this business is built on optionality for the originator.
Yeah. I will add as it relates to technology and we'll use the sexy term AI, but truthfully, 95% of what people call AI is not AI at all. It's just a form of a technology, whether it's, rules-based computing or machine learning or using tools like OCR. None of that is AI. There's nothing magic in there, but there is definitely explosion of technology for our industry. And so, I was at the AI conference earlier this week, and those people that listened to my lives this week and they've heard it, if the question is, will AI, which remember, interchange word technology with AI, will AI replace people? And the answer is absolutely not. To Craig, to your point, absolutely not. However, people that use technology will replace people that don't. And that's just a fact, because the people that use technology are going to be more productive, more valuable, faster, better. And if you don't use it, you're going to become obsolete, And so any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And for everybody, it's just figuring out, you don't have to use all of it, but find something that helps ignite what you are trying to accomplish and can help you, again, reach a wider audience, go deeper, leverage yourself, leverage your team. And we're talking about on like a sales and even origination front, but let's even look at it, at a company or industry front. Look, the mortgage business is extremely complex. It's clunky. Everything from margin management strategy and capital markets to post-close servicing, how loans make it through the system, compliance. My gosh, we do need AI and technology to close gaps, create guardrails, reduce minutia, reduce friction. These are all like the buzzwords, right? But companies do need to invest into their infrastructure because velocity, economies of scale and whatnot is going to help lower our cost burdens because we have to live and thrive in margin compression or less revenue. And so I know this is a mouthful, but my point is, and especially from originator to branch manager to executive, all stakeholders have to work together to help adopt it, adapt it, align with it, use it, because ultimately it's not, to your point earlier, it's not about, we have these very big, obvious, low-hanging fruit to pluck. Well, companies have already done that. They've done mass layoffs. That's not the answer anymore. And there's no more people you can lay off. You still have to do things. So we have to find all these advantages. We have to pick up pennies in that sense. But we have to think long-term. We have to provide long-term solutions. And again, I'm not an idiot here. This is not mortgage utopia. This shit is hard. It's difficult. It's complicated. It's nasty. So, but we have to do some short-term solutions to create long-term, betterment. And so it's a challenging subject, but technologies can be a big piece of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, our friend Dave Savage has been really helping me with my own mindset to technology, and he has really framed it well. And he tells me, look, the new literacy isn't reading and writing. The new literacy is your ability to adapt to technology and deploy it. And then there is a literacy to it, because it never works the way they say it works. And it always takes, when you get a technology, not only have to learn it, but then you got to fix it, and it's not working right. But that's the new literacy that's why you always ask a 5-year-old when you have a problem with your iPhone, because they're literate in it, and I'm illiterate. Yeah. And for us to succeed, we all have to gain that literacy, in the future, and strengthen that literacy. And you say it a little bit differently, I think, because what you talk about is that it needs to be in your DNA, which is another way of saying literacy, right? In that, right? Because and so speak to that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to do the heavy lift, right? It's hard. Rolling out technology is hard. It's complicated. It's all the things, right? We don't have to belabor that. It's hard.
It goes back though to do the little things. Don't do the big things.
Right. There's a way there, and I did a post a long time ago. I could find it and give it to you, but here's my steps on how I've successfully rolled out key technologies, before, for example, right? Yeah. But the point is, we have to do it though. We don't have the option anymore of not doing it. So we have to go through it, but we have to do a thoughtful rollout, and it'll take time. But as we do that, habits are created. It becomes part of our DNA, it becomes part of our literacy. And then it becomes part of, that's just how I operate and how I work and how I, build success and whatnot. And then, but that's a longer term thing, but I don't know any other options other than to do it.
Yeah, let's shift. In your article, you covered the, I guess, modernizing your marketing, or really the role of brand in marketing. Yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, well, I think, again, let's go back to the consumer, right? And consumers, I mean, all of us, right? There is so much white noise in marketing, social media, and everybody's getting on it and everything. There's a lot of white noise. And then, look, there's just a lot of bad corporate marketing. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but corporate marketing by definition is trying to market the corporation. But the consumer cares less about the company, in my opinion. They care more about you. And so that goes into modernizing your marketing is very evident about those who are able to express their personal brand. And my take on that is, your personal brand is the color on top of the white noise, if you will. So then it's like, okay, I get that. Yeah, I keep hearing people talking about personal brand, right? That's almost becoming white noise in of itself. But a lot of people aren't in touch with that. So, and here's the other thing. This has nothing to do with your job title. This is not just for salespeople, executives, CEOs, branch managers. Your personal brand matters. And here's why. Because your personal brand is first starting with, what do you care about? What's impactful for you? What is it that you love in what you do? How do you make that connection? How are you solving problems? How are you solving your clients' problems? And being in touch with that, it's an internal thing first. And then as you have clarity in that, understand that, then externally, now, how do we connect that to your marketing, your client engagement, referral partners, opportunities, and much more? Now, and for a lot of people who are stuck right now, a lot of people are stuck. That helps create that. And I have, I have people tell me like, I'm lacking motivation right now. Okay, well, I can't motivate you, right? And motivation is just an emotion and it's going to fade, right? We have to create momentum, not motivation. Well, that personal brand is what's going to create momentum and we're going to drive towards it. And so that's why modernizing, if you will, the marketing experience, it's not about the company brand. And by gosh, if you're letting the company do all your marketing for you and they're doing all these boring posts, hey, check it out, I got a DSCR loan. Hey, check it out, I got a 30-year fix. Hey, it's white noise. No one cares. People care about what you care about. So what are you offering? What are you giving? Is it personal? That's the color on the white noise, and it matters. And like I said, it's not just sales. It's all roles.
You are bringing it. Good job. Let's see if we can't do a couple things and wrap this up.
Okay.
I want to get to the last portion of your article, and you've touched a little bit on this, so we can just touch on a little bit, which is essential humans. And the phrases that caught my attention in your article was the elasticity of human capital as well as the philosophy of all in. You want to touch on those two?
100%. So I mean, again, this entire conversation, shifting into the mortgage experience, it's not technology trying to replace everybody, right? We have to use that to create leverage, to create scalability, economies of scale, and whatnot. It's not about job titles, like we talked about, branch manager, non-producing, regional, area, divisional. Like it's not about middleman. It's not about that. Who are our essential humans? We need you. We need you. I want you. I am one. You are one. Okay, now, what are you providing? How are you solving problems like we were just talking about from the personal brand side, for example? Okay, elasticity, how do I get more of you? Well, if I can reduce minutia, because I have technology taking over all this minutia crap, then I can really focus on your skill sets or what I need of you. And by the way, the problem is the business is always shifting, and I feel bad for regionals, for example. The business really needed regionals 5 years ago. Doesn't as much today. That's not their fault. The business has changed, right? So, but there's skill sets in there. And so it's really elasticity, right? And another way to look at it too, I mean, you could say cross-training, that's elastic, but I can't have someone do these multiple things if they're stuck in the minutia of each one of, these job roles. I got to remove minutia. And that gets more into leadership. If I can have more people driving things and then technology's doing things, and we're overusing the word tech a little bit because we still have people still have to do things. So that's elasticity, right? And then, all in, man. This is hard. This is hard for IMBs because this business is built on optionality. We want to recruit and bring all these loan officers on, and every loan officer, every originator wants something different, but we can't create scalability when everyone's doing something different. And so we need partnership from originator to branch manager to executive and everything in between, all in, unifying into systems and processes, agreeing on what technology to use, letting go of perhaps this is how we've always done it, because this is how we've always done it doesn't mean that's what's going to get us to the next place. So, and again, I'm not saying radical change, although for some, maybe it is. All in, support each other, compromise, adapt, align, execute.
Yeah, Craig, that's great. You are killing it. So I would say this. I might be making this up, so I apologize. But like your services positioning statement may be, that you help people integrate key technologies plus the essential humans across verticals to meet customer demands, maximizing revenue and helping them connect to their joy, purpose, and passion in working inside their business, which I think is a great positioning statement. And it may not be, I might have just made it up, by the way. So
that sounds pretty good to me. I'll take it.
Yeah, sorry. And so as we wrap up, you have a consulting company in which you provide coaching, and you provide several tiers of coaching. You also help companies fill the gap in leadership and helping coach their folks. You're a public speaker. And if if you can just tell people how they can get a hold of you. And maybe the other thing is, I know you offer what you call a free huddle. If you want to explain what that is, maybe, and let people know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I offer complimentary huddles with anybody, anytime. I'm happy to jump on. Because again, like I said, it's not all one size shoe fits all, right? And so whether we're, in one-on-one private coaching, executive coaching, into something more of a deeper consultative relationship, again, it's unique to the needs of whether it's you as an originator, a branch really trying to run a business, and frankly, let's just have a little fun. Let's just do a little better. Like, we overcomplicate this thing, right? I'm here to uncomplicate things, and working with executives, company owners, and whatnot, so we can take a broader look into the organization. My methodology of how I help leaders and business owners and branch managers and even originators is really, like, and again, I was using the word verticals, right? Really understanding what is it that's driving your success, or what is it that you want to do to drive your success. And so we look at those, I call them your key business pillars, and how we stand that up. And then we create a vision, strategy, execution plan within each one of those business pillars. That now we have clarity. Now we've reduced friction. Now we understand. Doesn't mean we're doing all of it yet. And then I'm able to then dive in and coach specifically into each one of those. That's one methodology, right? And I have other clients where I'm just their executive coach, helping them move forward too. So that's why I say it's really about your needs and your design and what's passionate to you. So yeah, private coaching, certainly. And then I do have a masterclass I do for groups and teams and branches, which is really, really good. I call it your Success Foundations Masterclass. And it's really good at helping bind that culture, creating that all-in effect, while also inspiring and governing how to move forward, effectively. And we touch on some things we talked about. I have a keynote I've been giving lately, which has been going over very well, called Getting Unstuck. And I just did a virtual kind of more workshop style. So we had breakout sessions, throughout 3 of the subject points. So just an hour long. But that's something really fun. And I love doing that live in person as well. I want more live and in person. We need more of the human connection, So those are just a couple things. But ultimately, if you're curious, if I'm resonating with you, if you're feeling a little stuck, or you're feeling like you really want to dive in and run a great, thoughtful business, whether you're an originator, a branch manager, or an executive, let's just connect. And we can just start from there and have a conversation.
How do people get a hold of you? How do they follow you? What's the connectivity options?
Yeah. I'll give you all the links, but anyone can, you can shoot me an email, Craig@ascendxc.com. I'll give you the links, and, follow me on Instagram, Craig_XC, LinkedIn, all the stuff. And if you just go to my website's probably the best. I probably should have just said that. ascendxc.com, ASCEND, X as an experience, X as experience, because I'm too cool for the E, C as in coaching.com. And then, you can get a hold of me through that too. So.
And if people want to read this article, they can get it on your LinkedIn page.
I am going to post that on LinkedIn today. That's my accountability marker. So it'll be on there today, and then I'll have a link on my website with it as well, and whatnot. So yeah, and I would love, give me opinions. Dare I ask? That's probably maybe famous last words, right? But I do want to hear people's thoughts. And the intent of this article, by the way, is to generate critical thinking, open conversations. And so we're long-term, because I have these conversations all the time. No one's disagreeing with these positions. The challenge is now, how do we go and do it? So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start, Craig. Thank you so much for coming on to my live podcast. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy our conversations. Hopefully I'll see you at AmCon, and maybe we'll sip a glass of wine and have more cool conversations like this. To the people that either join live or will watch this later, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check me out on my social media channels. I try to put out live content every single morning around 7:30. I appreciate the people that check me out. Craig, hang on. But everyone else, have a great day. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for the great conversation, man. Awesome.